Hello, everyone. We'll be starting shortly, okay? Let me get this. I am going to put a link in the chat. It's going to be kind of for our presentation using Classkick that we're going to show, okay? For what?
Put the new link.
Oh,
we edited it.
but it should be fine, no?
What is?
Let me see.
Oh yeah. No, just
Let me go ahead and put it in the chat for you guys. We should be good. So that link, if you want to just put your name or put a number, that'll go ahead. And it's going to follow along with our presentation using the Classkick app. So, oh, yay, it's 11. I'm going to wait like a couple more minutes just to see if anybody's going to come in towards the end. Last session. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Brianna, that Classkick, is that an app that we can use in that's one of the things that is provided for us?
We pay, our school pays for the paid version, but the free version is actually really, really good too, and it has a lot of benefits to it. So it's actually like any teacher can use it. Anybody can use it. So we actually started with the free version before we got the paid version, and we were still able to do pretty much most of the stuff that you do on the paid version through the free version. So
okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. All right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. Good morning. It's still morning. Last session, yay! So my name's Brianna Baeza. I teach third grade at East Point Elementary.
I'm Ruby Buendia. I teach fourth grade dual at East Point Elementary.
And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to learn how to differentiate using Classkick. So last blended training, we actually went to a Classkick session. And when we started learning it, we were like, oh my gosh, like this is great. Like we love it. We want to learn how to use it. And we really dove into it. So the session was for middle school. And even though it was for middle school, it was still a program that we were like, man, we really want to learn like what it is and what we can use it. So I think over last year and kind of going into this year, we really learned how to adjust it for our elementary school students and that they can use it and they can use it just as friendly for anybody else that uses it too. So we really liked that, and we haven't gone back, and our school paid for it this year. So we were really excited that we have the paid version for that. Okay, so what is Classkick? Classkick is basically an online application that students can use to turn in and do work. They can show their work, you can upload files, any of that you can use. I know right now we are back in the classroom and we're doing more paper pencil stuff, but I kind of didn't let Classkick go. I kept it, and a lot of my students, I'm still kind of using it for a lot of stuff that we're using here in person. So I know like we're not 100% COVID free, so it's still kind of good because they still have all of that in there. What I loved, and I think the biggest thing, is that we can monitor our students during assignments, and it's live time. Like you are seeing what the students are doing at the second they're doing it. Any edit you make, it happens there in time. It's not, later. You don't have to refresh the page. It literally happens as you're going along. So there is a free version, and I thought the free version only gave you about 10 assignments, but it actually gives you 20 assignments. You can still assign the work. You can still see the students' work. You're pretty much all of the tools are able to use. The only one that's a little bit different is the multiple choice. You only get it through the paid version. To make your test or whatever you need with multiple choice. They can still do that. The paid version does have the multiple choice, which is a good, which we'll talk about right now. And also the single page view is only available on that, and we'll show you right now why that's a kind of good thing to have. It is $10 a month for the paid version if your school doesn't provide it for you, if you want to pay it. Last year when we had COVID and we were online, I did pay for it. Like I was paying for it, but I felt it was a really good resource, and I thought, man, like the $10 was definitely worth it for what I was using it for. And on the paid version, you get unlimited assignments. So you have as many assignments to make. They save, you do whatever. And like I said, you can add the multiple choice and the view so you can see that. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit into the features that we see. The Classkick we sent you, you already are seeing these features, so you can feel free to kind of play around with the tools and see as we're going along. So the first thing we're gonna discuss is, of course, the multiple choice. This is through the paid version only. We kind of did learn a little hack though, that if one person pays for the free version and you share your assignment with other teachers, it does give the other students the multiple choice. So that's something cool that we kind of learned, but it does have the multiple choice. So like this was a reading science passage that I had assigned for the students. And what I did was I actually put the multiple choice and the correct answer. So on my view, what I liked about this is when I went back and checked, I could see already what the students missed, what score they got. It gave me their score. It instantly graded it. So that's like right off the back, that's something really good that you can add to your test is the multiple choice, which is a good feature to have. The next thing is the manipulatives. So I know we don't do online manipulatives as much as we did last year, but I liked, this was an assignment that I used for fractions last year. And these, you can't move them on yours because I just took a screenshot, but on the actual one, you were able to actually move the manipulatives and work with them and do them. Going into this year, the way I kind of differentiated with that is I do have some kids that love the online manipulatives. They're able to use them. They can do what they need to. But because we're in person, they actually like to use the physical manipulatives. So that in itself, allowing the students to say like, well, I want to use the manipulatives that I have right here to answer. Some of them were like, I like using the online manipulatives, and they were able to show their work doing the online manipulatives. So that kind of gives you a good thing. I know I've seen it with phonics lessons where they're able to manipulate the letters. Some kids like to use the letters online. Some of them like to write them. So that's just something that's there that's already part of it that you can make manipulatives to put on your assignments.
So this is an example of how you can use it for reading. This is actually an assignment that I did with my team this year. So on this one, you are able to move them around. You can see that if you scroll down to the bottom, you have the pictures. So they were able to put them in sequence. They were able to sequence them first before putting them or deciding the events that are supposed to go on the plot diagram. This one right here would be an example of a tier 3 since they have all the pictures. At tier 2, you could possibly just have a few pictures and a few sentences for them to put it on, whereas tier 1 could just go ahead and fill it out their own, insert the text boxes. There's lots of different features that you can use to go ahead and fill this out depending on the tiers. They have the text boxes here, they have the pencil, and the really cool thing that Classkick has is the voice notes. We'll go into a little bit more detail right now about the voice notes, but let me see here. Okay, here's one example of a voice note, and this is for a tier 3. We know that sometimes they struggle recalling with the vocabulary and all that. So you as a teacher can leave a voice note as well as students. So this is an example of a teacher voice note.
The climax is the turning part of the story. It's usually when the story changes or a major event happens to the main character.
So this is a way for your tier 3 to still, as they're working on the activity, for them to kind of be more independent, to kind of listen to the instructions and kind of recall the vocabulary as they're working on it. Another feature on here would be you can go ahead and add a link. And on here, they also have the video where they can go back to, and they can go ahead and watch the video as they're trying to sequence, as they're trying to
But I love snow.
Okay. Another different thing that we did using Classkick is that I know last year we did a lot of like videos and everything. And so one of the different things that we also did this year with my team is that we actually screenshotted the pictures of the book. So that way each student could have their own copy of the book versus you just having your mentor text and them having to go back and looking at a video. Some students prefer the video. Some students actually prefer the book version of it. So we have that option for them as well.
And the nice thing about that adding, if you notice, it's all in one place. So I know like we were really excited to use Google Slides last year, and we were like, yes, Google Slides. And it was good, but the issue is like we noticed a lot of our kids were having issue going from like the video tab to this, going here. It's literally all on here. Everything is on this page. Everything would be on here. They wouldn't need to go anywhere else. They just click the link and it's all here on this part here.
one thing that I did forget to mention, I'm sorry, was the neat thing about this is that you can set this as your background. I don't like setting that as a background because sometimes it comes out blurry, but to each their own. So I just inserted this screenshot as a picture. When you insert it on your teacher side, the students are not able to move it. I can move it because right now I'm on my teacher side and you'll see it moving on yours. If you try to click on it, you cannot move it. The only thing that you're able to move are the pictures because I inserted these as manipulatives. So that's a really cool thing. I know sometimes on Google Slides, students will click, will delete, will move things, and they don't know how they did it. So on this side, they cannot move anything except for what you give them access to.
Okay, so going along the next feature, so we talked a little bit about the multiple choice and the manipulatives. The next part that we like about Classkick is the voice notes. So at the top, you'll notice there's a little microphone on your thing and it says add audio. This is great because you can add voice notes to any part of the text. So in this case, I was using it actually for a math test. Now, I don't let all my students use it, but in this case, this was a student who was a 504 student, and I knew sometimes like it could kind of be a struggle to get her to show work, to kind of be like, hey, like you need to do this, or how can you do this? So this was actually a really good thing for her because I gave her this option and she really enjoyed doing this because she was able to explain to me how she was coming to her answer. Now, she was doing her work on the desk with a dry erase marker, so you're going to hear her kind of say that in the test. But it was really nice because she wasn't so stressed about like, do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? I was able to know like, okay, she understands, she gets it by doing the voice note. And you can click the voice note, but let me show you how she did it on here so you can hear her. So like on here, you're gonna hear her voice.
In this one, it is say San Diego School has 530 students. Larry School has 780 students. About how many more students are in Larry's school? So how many more is when we subtract? Because it's how many more, how many less subtract to compare, don't just guess. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to draw this up, and I'm also going to do the problem. So I'm gonna put 543 minus 793.
So then the cool thing was like after she did that, she showed me the work on her desk. So I know like we do Sharon Wells, so the UPSI problem solving, it can kind of like it freaks some kids out, you know, they don't like to do it or they're like, oh my gosh, this. So that was kind of like her UPSI, but in a voice note. And then she showed me the work that she did, the computation on her table. And that was like a really good thing for her because then it wasn't stressing her out. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, why aren't you showing work? Why aren't you, it was her way of showing how she liked to explain it. And if you notice on the video, like she did explain it. I tell them, when you explain it, it has to make sense on the voice note. Make sure it makes sense to where I understand what you're saying or what you're doing and what you're getting it from. And it helped me as a teacher to kind of understand and see her thought process for that. Okay.
This is just another way that you can use a voice note. This is something that I used last year for the word study section of it. And so you'll hear some background because obviously they were at home and we all know what that sounded like, but they're still able to access and they're able to listen and listen to themselves reading it out loud.
So they were kind of reading words that they had from our word study block.
Always. Always. The word that makes the oi sound is oi. Joys. The word that makes the oi sound is oy. Spoil. Spoil. The word that makes the sound that makes the oi sound is oi.
And so on this feature, you'll see that this student, she recorded for every single word that she read, she made a different recording of it, and you don't necessarily have to do that. That just depends on the students and how they want to record it. You can leave a voice note recording the whole entire line. You don't have to do one for each individual one, so don't think it has to be a certain amount of time. I think the longest that one of my students has gone is like about 5 minutes. Not on this activity, but you'll see examples of others. So there is enough time. The voice recording is pretty long. They don't have to do it for each individual one.
And something I liked, I know like we're getting ideas. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, I know a lot of us have a word study center in our centers. This is a great thing to do because you're holding them accountable. You're saying you need to record yourself. Like, I know in 3rd grade, we don't use foundations anymore, but if you're using foundations, those skills, you can have them already embedded in this center where they know to go record, to go click, and they just click a link to get in. So that's something we'll look at right now too.
And even saying like even the lower grades, even if it's just putting letters and they have to kind of record themselves saying the sounds and all that, it can be used for various in different ways.
Do you want to go with this one?
Oh, and so this next one is for the Talpass Center that I have. Normally I started using Flipgrid once we got into the Classkick and I started seeing all the different tools that Classkick has. I'm moving more towards Classkick now. It just has worked amazing. So on Flipgrid, it was really awesome. And I do still get a lot of the topics from Flipgrid, but I've noticed that on Flipgrid, the students get a little excited with the video. And it's nice to see, don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for it. I just feel Talpass needs to kind of focus more. I know we've been struggling a lot with the speaking component. So moving it over to Classkick, it helps just focus on listening and speaking. Whereas on Flipgrid, like I said, they're into the video, they're trying to get more creative and all that. So what I do now is I just kind of screenshot it on the Classkick. As you can see here, they have the options. They still have their topic. They still have their instructions. They just insert the text box because I always tell them before you start recording, make sure that you write it. So you have to write it before you actually start recording. So when they are ready, then they can go ahead and add the voice note and they can record what they said. This really helps them reflect on their writing and kind of helps them reflect on the way they're speaking. This holds them accountable to listen to it, to go back and to kind of catch their mistakes and make their writing better.
And I was like, to add to this, what I like is I like that all of this is on one slide and it's all there for them, because I know, like, especially with the younger kids, like trying to go through tabs and be like, oh, well, I have my Flipgrid on this tab, but I typed it on this tab, but I write it. Literally, they can do it all on here and use it all together here, record, and they're ready to go. And they know that they completed it. Or if you're doing it, putting it in a center, which we have been.
Another way to use the voice notes for this would be, for example, your fluency center. I know this is an extra center to be added into the reading menu. So the students can go ahead and record themselves reading it. I know I do where the partners switch off. And so then you listen to each other's recording and they kind of mark down the mistakes that they made. Or you can, each student can kind of listen to their own recording and see if they catch their own mistakes. It can also be used as a running record. I know sometimes it's just easier and you have everything in one folder, and they can go ahead and just leave their voice recording. It's something that you can come back to and listen to on your own if you don't have enough time. I know when we do this in small group, we only have a specific amount of time and we can't listen to all of them. So it's just kind of like an easier, quicker way to have them do it. I know Ms. Baeza had mentioned before that this is also on RAS Kids, that you have that option, but like she mentioned in Classkick, everything is just all in one place and you have all your students' information in one. You don't have to be going through different links, through different slides, different pages, looking for the student's name. Once we go and you see the overview in the end, when we show you, you'll see like all your students' work is literally right there. You just have to click an arrow, click their name, and the same page pops up for each student. So it's just easier to work with.
All right, so the next tool we're going to talk about, the voice tool, I know we spent a little bit more time. The other one that we really like is the camera feature. And I know we were talking about the camera. It's something that like almost all kids know how to access the camera on some sort of device and take a picture of what they need to do. So I'm going to let Ms. Wendia kind of explain like how her students work it out. Yes.
So for this one, I just kind of wanted to show you, like we're saying, differentiation and just being a whole blended in having the students choose how they want to respond. Classkick is amazing because there's so many different tools. They have the pen tool, they have the text box tool, they have the camera tool, which I think is one of our favorites. It really holds them accountable to a lot. For example, in this student, you can see that she was comfortable drawing the picture, but then her computation was on the whiteboard, and that was part of her showing her work. For the student down here, you can see that he was way more comfortable. He was okay using the pencil. He even used the text box. He used a little bit of both of the online tools. So they get to choose how they want to do it. I know as we're going into more of an online testing and not having so much paper copies, it's kind of getting them used to that. I know eventually, we're, like Ms. Beth had mentioned in the earlier session, we're still allowing them to use a pencil tool, which we know is not going to be part of the tools that they can use for STAR this year. But it's just kind of it's a gradual release to kind of getting them to go from the problem that they see on the screen to putting it on your paper. One of the tools that you will also see on here is the open response option. This is part of the paid version only. So as you can see here, if it's green, you can see that the student got it correct. If it's red, it marks it as incorrect. So one of the beauties about this is as you're going along, especially like I said, for when I do the exit tickets, you can give the instant feedback. So there's an option here for stickers. You can go ahead and add stickers. You can edit it. You use what kind of sticker you want to, you choose to do. I created this one over here. So then as soon as I saw that they got it correct, you just give them their feedback there and they can see that they got it correct. You don't have to grade it. You don't have to check it. You're not looking for an answer key. This you already enter through your teacher side. So as soon as they input their score, you already see if they got it correct or incorrect. Some of the different stickers that I have on here also would be like to show work, to try again. So that's a really neat thing because as soon as they do it, you don't even have to, no speaking has to go onto it. It's still a quiet environment while everybody's working on it. You just give that instant feedback on their screen and they know as soon as they're done, they're just looking for their screen. There's another tool that we'll get into a little bit later where they raise their hand. And as soon as they do that, you can just give them that feedback where I have a sticker for like show work, try again. So as soon as they see that, they know, okay, I have to go back, I have to show my work, or I have to try it again because I got it wrong.
And going along with that, so my students, like we took a test. So we're a Sharon Wells campus where we have the Sharon Wells program. And I love it because I can download it and I can put it onto the Classkick and it's super easy to make. But like this student, I was like, hey, you have to do your UPSI problem solving and on these problems. So he wasn't comfortable using the online tools. He liked using paper. So I loved, and I told him, you still have to take a picture. If there's not a picture there, there either needs to be work through there or a voice note with some sort of, you know, showing me what you did. And he was just more comfortable using paper. So he showed me his work using totally paper, and he did it like for literally all the problem. It was all paper, but I was still able to hold him accountable and be like, hey, thank you for showing your work. Like I got it, and I put amazing work. He knew he was able to move on. I have another student, like Miss Undia's student, that he's comfortable using the tools. He's comfortable using the pen. He's comfortable using the text box. He did all the strategies, but he used it doing online, and that's okay too. Like I know that STAR took away when we had originally liked this program. All those features were still on the STAR test online, like the pencil, you know, all of that. And now they took it away, which I'm like, no, why would you do that? But it's good because I'm still allowing my kids to use it, because if it's going to get them to show their work and it's going to get them to do something, at least in class, I can get them excited to do it, then that's okay. They can use it. So that's a nice way that they're responding in the differentiated ways, and I'm being able to use that in their different ways. It's sad that STAR's not doing that, not using the pens anymore, but that's okay. Oh, let me erase this, sorry. So one of the things that we use for SPED and 504 differentiation, this is something that we kind of came across last year. So the first is oral admin. I love that. I know some of us, we have more than one student that has the oral admin accommodation. They have to read things too, or whatever it is. You are able to record yourself reading the text to the student, and they can listen to it as many times as they need. I feel, of course, it looks a little different, the box, but from what I saw, the little icon of the press play looked the same as it did on the interim. So because we were practicing with this on Classkick, my students who had that, I was able to say, hey, look, click right here. Oh, you see this little icon? It means the same thing like in Classkick. When you click this, you're gonna be able to hear the question again. So it's not exactly the same, but that icon of the play is the same. So you're able to kind of related to like, hey, when you see this on a test, you want to listen to it as much as you can. For us as teachers, it's great because you may have a student sitting somewhere else, they can have their headphones and they can be doing the oral admin on their own. Like those that don't maybe have a read all where you have to pace it, that they can go at their own pace. They already have the headphones. They just click it and they read it. They click it and they read it. I know last year, of course, we had some of our students who had those accommodations were at home. So it was nice because we could give them the link to that specific Classkick and they already had the oral admin. And I would make sure, I would say like, can you hear it? I would tell the parents, are they able to hear, that I'm reading them the question, and they could do it on their own and I could see them working. Voice notes, we already kind of covered.
But it's also very beneficial because I know like some of us, we don't just have one or two, sometimes we have maybe up to 5. And sometimes we don't always have the support for everybody to be getting the oral admin. So if one is on question 1, the other one is on question 3, and you're constantly reading different questions at a time. So this is a wonderful feature because it's very much like the STAR test. They're just on their own and they're listening to whatever they need as many times as they need. So it's very beneficial.
Yeah, because most, well, now on the STAR test, I guess, like, it's not really teachers reading it anymore. If they have that accommodation, they're pretty much getting it through the computer. There's no that we're going to read it, And for 3rd grade, we are allowed to read, like, words or phrases. So you can even add, like, I know we were saying, like, the icon we're going to show you for the need help. I can go ahead and just go record myself reading whatever word they would need, and then they can check it on their own, and I'm not having to go everywhere. The voice notes we kind of discussed, that they can respond orally instead of writing. My students with dyslexia, they love this because they're able to not so much focus on like, did I spell this right? Did I look at this right? And me as a teacher, I'm not looking at like, did they spell it right? Does it make sense? I'm looking at, did they understand the concept we were teaching? So if in the case of the plot diagram, I want to know, did they understand the exposition, the rising, and all of that? I'm not looking at their spelling and like, okay, they may have mixed up the story. No, I'm just seeing like, were they able to respond to it, and could I hear them and what they were saying? The chunking of the questions. So some of our students may have those frequent breaks or those accommodations. What I like about Classkick is you can make the test according to your student. So like on one of the tests, yes, the 4 questions were there, but if I have a student that I know needs frequent breaks or has that accommodation, I can break it up to where literally it's like 1 question per slide, and they know like, hey, I can even add a reminder, like go take a 2-minute break, take a breather, go get a drink of water. Next slide, do this. Next slide, do this. So I'm differentiating to my kids. I can say, this kid may need the chunking. This one, no, they're good to have the 4 questions on 1 page and can go ahead and keep going. So they pace themselves accordingly. Of course, the STAR is 1 test per question, but it's still good to start practicing that chunking and doing what you need to. Going along is the instant changes. So with Classkick on your teacher view, whatever you do on your teacher view, it's going to change automatically on the student view. So like if you're following along with me right now on this page, I could go ahead and I can write, and that's why you see that one. Like if I highlight this heart, you're going to see the highlight on your page. What I loved about this is my SPED students, they have a hard time writing notes. And again, if I'm Sharon Wells, they have a hard time copying what I'm modeling onto the page. It takes them longer. Sometimes they're like, I'm lost. What page are you on? Where are you? And I love that I'm doing it and I'm modeling the strategy, and their main focus is to watch what I'm doing. They could watch it on their screen. They could watch it me doing it on the front on the IMD board, or like they're discussing. It's more of the discussing. Why are you doing that? Why did I get to here? So they're really internalizing it rather than worrying about copying, because worrying about copying was like my biggest headache that I would have. I'd be like, why didn't you copy this down? Why didn't you? And they can go back and they can look at that for their reference for their notes, what they're doing. And go ahead.
Whatever you write stays on there.
It's
a
there.
Really nice sheet because like we said, those students that do struggle, or maybe the students that aren't as comfortable with all the tools or an introduction to them, whatever you write, all their examples are exactly as they are. So now there's no excuse of, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to solve it that way. Nope, go back to slide 1, exactly how I solved it. That's how you need to solve it. So there's no excuses of no examples, not copying down right. It's just kind of like a little notes for them to have and refer back to.
And last, the tools are really easy to learn and use. I don't think when we went into it, we were like, you know what, let's just try it. We got to just try it. Let's just see what happens. Let's just do it. And when we sent it to the kids, I think, I know like Ms. Wendy said, we didn't give our kids enough credit And they knew a lot of the stuff that was already on there without us even explaining what everything was. They knew like, oh my God, this is a camera. Look, Miss Baeza, if you do this, you can use this. If you do this, you can use this. So I know with the lower grades, sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, but it may be hard. I mean, test it out. You don't know. Sometimes they may know already what to do with these things. And the icons are super friendly to it. Back then, it used to pretty much model what was on the STAR test. They looked pretty similar. Now, of course, they don't have that on the STAR test, but it's still good to use for them. And their work saves pretty much automatically. They don't lose it. It's not like the Google Classroom where they would delete it on a slide or they would do something. It's literally always going to be there unless they erase it. So that's the good thing. Same thing with like if you write something on the teacher, it's not going to change for that. Okay, so that's kind of like the pros and cons we went over. We showed you the different options that they had. Moving, like we said, it's pretty much going to be online testing from here on out. I don't see that changing. It does suck that they changed that, but it's good that they're at least getting used to seeing things on a computer, because that in itself is a really hard skill. I know even with my third graders, transferring it from a screen to a paper is in itself something they have to learn how to do. We went over the manipulatives. Right now, we are going to show you how quick and easy these are to make. I know you're like, oh my gosh, with Google Slides, I was like an avid screenshotter where I would screenshot everything and I'd be like, okay, put it on here. Okay, now we're going to change this. This is like takes away that headache because you can download PDFs and we're going to show you right now how you can do it. The instant feedback and changes, it happens there in real time. You're not turning in an assignment, going and checking it, turning in, going and checking it. With Google Slides, I know we would have to go through each student one by one. Here, it is literally all the students are there. You already know what's going on. And I personally like that because it was quicker to go with it. The background choices, that there's a whole bunch of different ones that we'll see too. And then the hand and the help button, which I'm going to show you after Miss Cynthia explains some of the cons that we have to it.
So as we know, every good comes with a little bad. It's not a perfect program. Some of the cons that you do have is, well, one of them, like we said, we were excited earlier because they were the same exact tools that were on STAR. And we did see our kids using the tools as we were monitoring, but now they will not be on there. But like we said, it's still very beneficial for many other reasons. The second one is the way you have to put the names, the way the students have to enter. So there's two options. This goes along with the whole blended approach. What works for one teacher might not work for another teacher. So Ms. Baeza has her different way of the way her students log in, which is through the Google Classroom. There are two options through the paid version. If you do the paid version, you can go ahead and set up your classroom the same as Google Classroom. So when they log in, it's like any other app where they just click log in with Google. I myself do not do that because once you give them access to that, then they see kind of like your teacher side, like your folder. So they see all your folders. They can always go back in and get into that. I prefer to just give them a link for each assignment. So I use it hand in hand with Google Classroom. So whatever assignment we're doing for that week, for example, that we're doing the Brave Irene plot diagram, then I'll just give them the link to that specific assignment. Whereas the other side, when they open it up, it's like Google Class, they see all the folders, all the Classkicks that you've created, and they have access to them. One of the cons for me to giving them the link and of Classkick is with not going through the Google side is that the students have to enter the same name the exact same way they did it the first time. So for example, if I go into it today and I put Ruby with a Ruby, and tomorrow I go into it and I accidentally add an extra Y or something, then a whole new assignment is going to come on. So that's kind of the con. The way that I've been, and then the other part to it is if she knows my name is Ruby and I learned through experience this past year, then she can log on to mine, start seeing what I'm doing, can even erase and move things around because I finally learned that my kids are not all angels as much as I would like to think they are. They are not. And so sometimes they will go into other assignments and, oh, miss, there's a mark on here. I didn't do it, or etc. Right? So one new thing that I've learned for this year and what I do differently now is now when they log in, I have them put their ID number. And they're so used to this because this is the same thing that they do to log into their computer device. So it's not anything new. It's not anything crazy. I have them log in with their student ID number. And then after that, they put their name because that helps me. Obviously, I don't memorize all the students' ID numbers. So it helps me to go ahead. Not everybody knows each other's ID numbers. So that makes it a little more private. So you log in and then they put their name. So that's where I avoid a lot of issues. It seems a little hard at the beginning. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but even like for the younger students, if you want to try maybe like first grade, or I don't know, even if kinder wants to try it, you could just give them their number. I know sometimes we have like a line order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could just enter with that.
Number one.
It could be simple as that. If it's cat or it's dog or whatever it is, there's just different ways to do it. You just kind of have to differentiate it to yours. Since mine are a little bit older and they're in 4th grade, they are able to go ahead and enter their, it comes very easy and they just get used to it. When we started using Classkick, we started having a lot of issues where, oh, I forgot, it's not coming up, my name's not coming up. So the good part to it is that under your teacher access, you can still see how they logged in. So if you do have those issues at the beginning, you as a teacher can see how they log in and tell them, oh, because yesterday you put 2 E's, so you have to put 2 E's this time, But once, like I said, once it's all about practice. Once they start getting used to it, they get the hang of it. And honestly, now, like, I have no problems at all. They already know in their heads, they're like, okay, ID number, name. So that's just one of the cons, but it works out though.
Yeah, and like she said, you can adjust it. Like my kids are okay right now with it, but it was like, all right, you can. Oh, I have to learn that. You have to show me, please. I know I'm trying to like learn it. Okay, when you hide assignments, I know Miss Nelson, because I think we went to your presentation last year. That's why I was like, oh my gosh. When they hide assignments, does it delete it? I'm just curious. Does it delete like the work that they show? That's why I was scared to hide it, because I was like, oh my god,
I hide all mine from last week. You can have folders. It's a new notification. Go to your notifications, and it'll give you a little tutorial there.
Yay! Okay, because I was so scared. I wanted to click hide button, but I was like, I'm so scared if I click this button that like everything's gonna be gone and that's it. We're done. Yay! So there we go. Now we learned you can hide the assignment. So yay! I'm gonna go do that with my Google right now. All right. So
So then this kind of goes with the part that we're saying, guys. I know it sounds like, oh my gosh, there's so much. I know my kids can't do this. I know elementary and all that, but I just want you guys to kind of see the fun that the kids have with it. So yes, it is all academic, but it is also very fun, and it just keeps them. This is a center that I have. I have my writing center. So what I do is I just kind of give them like a little a line. They have to create a picture based off of that line, and then they have to create a story. And then after they create the story, they write it, they record their story. So everything kind of ties back into TALPAS and having them to reflect on their writing, peer edit. So it all just kind of ties in, but it's in a fun way. So Classkick has a lot of really cool features, and the kids are able to get really creative with it. So as you can see, some of them inserted images, some of them drew images, some of them just used the tool and the different colors. Some of them, you can see the camera option there, where they didn't want to have anything to do with technology. So they just drew their little drawing on the paper, and they just submitted their picture. And if you see, I think there's another one.
Yes, one more.
And then there's another one there, just kind of like a little example. So this is kind of to kind of motivate you and see the fun that the kids can have. It is scary. It does seem like it's a lot. It seems like they can't do it, but like we said, just kind of give your students a little bit, just believe in your students a little bit more. Like I said, I know they might not all be comfortable with the different tools, especially the lower grade ones, but this camera option is really, really amazing. Those voice notes can easily be used with the lower grades. And like I said, they can always, it's just all about reflection. It's just about them listening and kind of reflecting. And especially with the whole TALPAS, because I know that's been a huge thing that we're kind of working towards. So it just helps out in many different ways, and the kids just absolutely love it. So if you can, just try it out, see. Like I said, you don't have to use all the things. What works for one teacher might not work for the other, but it's just a really cool app to use.
Okay, so what we're going to do next, we made, like, I know you guys are already kind of probably playing with the tools already on that one, but we made another Classkick kind of to show you what you can do with it and like how you can respond, how you can put all this stuff. So I'll send that link right now.
It's like the student side. So
it's like the
student side and how you can use the different tools and how you can insert a text box, and it kind of has the icons with pictures for you to see. One of the big important ones is a multiple choice one, and you'll see it on there and it shows you a picture. So when they answer for the multiple choice, they have to make sure that they click the arrow. If not, it won't save on there and you won't see their response. but we do have that on the Classkick. Ms. Baeza is getting the link to put it
What's
on
the other
there
one?
with the icons. So when you're showing or where you're introducing that tool, it's very important to make sure that they click the arrow button.
Let me put the other one. Sorry, it's taking a little slow. Okay, so and then the last thing that we're gonna kind of like end with, so we can show you guys, we're gonna show you how quick, and first the feedback, and second like how quick it is to pretty much make these Classkick so you're not spending your time. So this one that I'm sending right now, that is like the practice one that you can use, that we just made like a little assignment so you can kind of test it and see how it is. And on the teacher view, oh my gosh, why did I go there? So on the teacher view, the nice thing is I can go ahead and I can see all the students who are here. So if I go to review work, I can see if someone's logged on right now. I can see if they're doing, like, for example, on the last session, we had some students that they're already logged out. Like I can see Miss Herrera, I know she's from our campus, Burnett. She's already on it, and I can see that she's working on this problem right here. I can see who's logged in. I can see who's done the pages, who's already logged in. Like I see Miss Margie's on. She's on page 1. She's filling it out. Ms. Diaz-Kinder, I know she's on 2. She clicked the multiple choice. And even then, if you look on this multiple choice, this student, Miriam, she already answered and she got 100. So I can already be checking as we're going. And I love that because, like I said, with the Google slide, it was like, oh my gosh, I have to go one by one. I have to like click. This one, no, I literally have all of my students here. I'm able to go. I'm able to see what they're doing. I can go into one of their pages. Now, the other cool thing is there's this little ask help button. On your side, it should also have a little hand, kind of like right here in the corner. You can ask for help or you can check. So like on my end, it like dinged me that like Ruby wants me to check on her number 3. So I can click it. It'll take me to her page and I can be like, okay, did I check it? Did she get it right? Perfect. So then maybe I want to put a sticker and say like, awesome work. Good job. Like you checked it, you're ready to go. And Ruby on her screen would be able to see the update that came on her screen. I was sharing with Ruby something that like I started doing with my kids is, of course, in 3rd grade, they are able to read words. Like I'm able to read words to them or sentences on the math test. So my kids kind of started getting used to it. They need to ask for questions. They'll ask for help and they may highlight it. This is a student who doesn't have accommodations. They can highlight a word and I can record myself reading that word and then they know that it's already there and it uploads for them right away. So we're still practicing with that, but I think it's good because like I said, I may have a small group or I may be with someone and they know this is a way they can ask for help that me as a teacher, I'm still monitoring and I can see what they're doing and they don't have to come necessarily to my table or be like, Ms. Beth, I don't get this. They can already get that with that if they haven't asked. I haven't tried. I know it says on the newer version, there's actually an option for them to ask their classmates to help. I haven't tried it. I haven't been that brave yet, but I want to see it. And I maybe I'll test it so I can see where they ask maybe their peers first, where they answer a little bit faster. So, but it looks cool. Like it's something I want to try.
And I think that would come really in handy, especially when we're doing our guided reading, guided math, where they're not supposed to be coming to us, less walking around, they're still focused on their centers. This is an idea. We haven't tried it, but I can see the benefit of it for them just to go, if somebody sees it, them going up to that student, but we'll see. We have it little by little. We're not professionals at this. We're just learning as we go. And it's just something that we've really enjoyed incorporating into our activities and into our.
And the last thing I want to show is how simple these Classkicks are to make. Like I said, I was like a screenshotting queen when I was doing Google Slides because I would screenshot everything, I would upload it, I would make it a beautiful slide, and I was like, oh my God, this took so much time only for like one student to like delete it all or like be like, this isn't on my assignment. So what we like about this is like when you're on your teacher screen after you make your account, you are going to go here. We use a lot the create from file now. So we're able just to create it straight from a file. Like I said, we are a Sharon Wells campus, so I'm able to download the packets that we do. And I can click the PDF and it's literally like all there already. It's all there. It's already all built. It's what we need to. It just imports all the pages. Now, please make sure, I know Ms. Wendia brought it up, you have to make sure it says import all pages. Don't go one by one because one by one would be a really long time. So what we do is we click import all pages. It'll import all of them. And then from there, we're able to differentiate. Like I may want to make a copy of an assignment and be like, hey, for this student, I'm going to chunk it this way and I'm going to put this voice note. Someone brought up a really good idea before the last one. They were like, it would be really cool to add a link of a video reviewing something that a strategy that you already did. Like that's super cool. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. You can add a video and they can review the video and do what they need to do on that slide. So that's something that you can do. That's how your differentiation comes. But you just upload it and you can say, okay, I'm going to differentiate this one for the tier 1, this one for the tier 2. I know Ms. Buendia does it a little bit different, but you can share like how you do your color coding.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
I was like, what do I do? Yes. Yeah, so I use the Classkick, so I don't give different links for each one of them. I use the same link, but they're color coded, so they know if they're like the red, they're tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. They go to those specific slides. So I just kind of add on different things to them and they know exactly where to go. If they're red, they're going to work on these problems. If they're yellow on those and green on those. And I just kind of insert it at the top corner instead of having to create so many different links.
So if you don't want to create, like you can add here, or let's say I want to add a text box to this one, I can add a text box, and that's how we're already building our assignments to use for what we need. So that's a really good thing. And like I said, I really like that other teacher was like, oh my gosh, like you can add this. And we were like, oh, that's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. So that's really Classkick in a nutshell. I know it's like a free version, but I would really recommend trying it. We jumped in as soon as we saw Miss Nelson's presentation. We were like, let's just try it. Like, even though it's middle school, let's do it. Let's try it. Like, and we're even still using it to this day. So
thank you, Miss Allison.
Thank you, Miss Allison, because you're
welcome. And the helpers, just to let you know, for the older kids, when they ask for help, they don't know who the kid is. It doesn't show their name. You give them a wacky name, and then they just jump on theirs. And then they can help and they can jump back out. So
that's cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna try it. All right. I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna try it. Let's see how it goes. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for coming. We hope you learned something new, maybe learning, you know, something, trying it. It never hurts to try, differentiate it, and it helps us too. Here are our emails if you guys want to take a picture. I think some of you already have it. We're more than welcome to answer any questions that you guys have. You can email us. We're more than welcome to help you guys out. So thank you so much for coming.
You guys have any questions?
Any questions? Oh yeah, before we leave, anything else?
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for trying it out. It's just really exciting.
Yes, we loved it. We're like, okay, that was middle school. Let's try it with elementary. I think it could be good. Like, and they did. They took it on it right away.
Hi, kids, you can do collaboration. You just have them all logged in with the name like group 1, and they all can be on the same slide.
That's so smart too.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I never tried that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I'm learning new things too. So that's great. Thank you all.
Yeah. And thank you guys for being here today. We appreciate it. Thank you for your presentations, ladies. We definitely appreciate that. You are all free to go and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you all. Bye. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
You are so right. I will send a Classkick an invoice. Miss Nelson too. We'll send them for our services. Just get our district free. That's all we need.
That's right. Great idea. Great idea.
Everyone on there. Yeah. So go and look about hiding. It's just a little button that you slide over.
Okay, let me see. Now that you're here, I'm like, let's try it right here, right now.
Yes, show your screen where you had all your announcements, and it should say latest features, and then it's like a 5-second tutorial.
It's just going slow.
It's going slow today. Okay. So here's my, no, what am I doing? Oh, I went into, sorry, it's taking a little bit of a slow time. Oh my gosh. Okay, here's my screen. Let me see. I think I might have already clicked it. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Right here, latest features, right? Okay. You can. Oh.
So now I can go back and use,
So now you can use Google.
Now I won't